a lot of people in Europe and especially the Americas miss is that most of Africa and Asia is dealing with these sovereignty problems for a while now, especially in the last few decades. So, taking the Indian perspective, for example, India has border conflicts with China and Pakistan very, very clearly. And there is definitely some similarity between what's happening in Ukraine, with one country claiming that this area belongs to us, and these people don't get, even if there are elections, you don't really get power because there's no autonomy of our people, and then there's a difference of religion in the Indian subcontinent. But even if we see in Africa, if we look at how Sudan was divided or Congo was divided, um, really it's much more complex than what the West would have us believe, which is why we actually see Russia is getting much more support from Asia and Africa than in the West, because the West simply doesn't understand that these problems exist. For them, sovereignty has been solved 100 years ago. We won the war. We won clean and square. We divided it across straight lines on a chart, especially in Canada, for example, or in Africa. Um, I mean, just look at Texas and New Mexico. You know what I'm talking about, or Hawaii for that matter. I mean, if you look at the problems that the Russians are facing, all of these were solved on the battlefield for most of the West, including Germany for that matter. Uh, so First World War German borders versus the Second World War German borders are very different. And how are the Germans okay with that? Because it was solved on the battlefield. And so the Russians really are trying to solve it on the battlefield, because then you have a lasting agreement which remains binding, because you know that when it's signed, if something happens, we are going to war again, and we are capable enough of having an unconditional surrender from the other end. If the agreement is signed like it was in the Minsk in 2014, where the side wasn't soundly defeated, you're going to have that idea that we can strike again. We just didn't negotiate well enough at the right time. So really, I think at this point of time, the Russians it would be in their best interest to try as hard as possible to win. And same point from the Ukrainians.